Yeah, welcome to this call for Bali. I'm here with my good buddy Scott Stabile. Does everyone know both of us, by the way, who's here? Just no? Okay, that's good to know. So we should introduce each other a little bit. Um, Let me just say a whole bunch of nice things about Scott,
All
and we can
right.
start there. By the way, just show of hands, who's been on a retreat with us before? Just two of you here. Okay, live. Okay, that's good to know. Scott is an amazing author, breathwork teacher, writer, human, creative. We've taught a bunch of retreats together. Our last one was Spain in, when was that?
It was in August. Yeah, it
August.
was
All
this
right.
past year.
It was great. And then before that, we did Montana, which was super fun.
Yeah,
I love that Montana one. And so
both of
this
them
is
were
our third,
beautiful.
yeah, our third retreat together. Scott has so many wonderful books. And I won't go into all of that, but he's a fantastic teacher. I think he really complements what I can't do. He does some amazing breath work and writing prompts and so much more. So if you're lucky enough to go on a retreat with Scott, it's pretty special. For those of you who have been on a retreat with him, becomes your best friend in about 10 minutes. Uh, so
Thank you, brother.
honored to get to teach this next one with you.
Thank you. And David, for those of you who might not already know, is a meditation maestro. He really is extremely, I mean, he's much more than that. He's a brilliant teacher in general, but he's really gifted at making meditation, intuition very accessible. And one of the things I appreciate so much about David in general and working with him in general, I mean, he's one of my dearest friends at this point, but he's also someone who takes his work very seriously without being too serious about life, which is to say, he brings a lot of levity to this work and this practice. And I think it can be very easy to approach spirituality with a lot of heaviness and pressuring ourselves to be some way and shaming ourselves when we're not. And David is just brilliant at infusing these practices with joy and with humor. It's bad humor often, but it's still humor. So it's he's very, very gifted. I love him, and I love working with him. I love the chemistry that we create together. I think we do balance each other beautifully.
Agreed. Thank you. And can I just say, after our last retreat, this is a total side journey, but we decided to take a short trip. My friend had a house on the island of Menorca in Spain, and we went and we thought we were going to have the whole house to ourselves. And it turned out we had a little room with two little twin beds. We
With
had
no
to
air
share.
conditioning. Yeah, it was, imagine thinking you're going to be walking into a palace. That was the impression we were getting, and then being thrown in a little side room with no air, with two twin beds next to each other. It was very funny. We didn't stay very long. We didn't stay as long as we were expecting.
But we did get closer, I think,
Yeah,
from that experience. It was pretty great.
for sure.
Well, so if you just got in, welcome, welcome. We're just sharing a bit about each other, introducing ourselves. And so let's jump into this retreat and going to Bali. So first of all, I've been to Bali multiple times. I spent maybe like 5, 6 months there total. I love it. It's got a very special place in my heart, and there's something about the culture there. It's an island of a majority of Hindu people, in a country, Indonesia, that's Muslim, but the island of Bali is almost entirely Hindu, and it's the only one of the only other places in the world that's Hindu, um, outside of India, Nepal, and there's just an energy and a sacredness about it. The way that people treat you, the way they treat each other, uh, every day, the rituals that they do with flowers. It's hard to describe, but there's this kind of reverence that they have for life that that you just can't help feeling yourself when you're there and absorbing, and it relaxes you. Obviously, the nature, the jungle, the beaches, the volcanoes, all of it is incredible as well. It's a very easy place to have a good time and to be relaxed. I think this will be my fourth retreat there, and all at this retreat center, which we'll get into, Bagas Jati, which is about 45 minutes north of Ubud. Um, and it's just a really, really special place. Obviously, Bali is so well known for being a spiritual, center for people to travel. Eat, pray, love made it maybe too popular, unfortunately. um, but it is popular for a reason. And on this retreat, we're going to be in our little sacred bubble at the retreat center in the middle of the jungle. And we are going to take a few excursions. We'll get into that too. But it's
Yeah.
just going to be a wonderful opportunity. What's that?
I was just going to ask about if you show by hands, how many of you have been to Bali?
Yeah, great
One?
question.
Okay,
So
a
two,
couple of you, so you
yeah,
know. Yeah,
yeah. Um, and it's just, it's a very magical place. And Scott's
yeah.
been there as well.
Yeah, I've been there once and it was I've traveled a lot. My ex was an airline pilot and we used the hell out of his benefits and we traveled all over the place, and Bali is for me the top two places I've ever visited. It's really special. And the work we do when we gather in community like this and when we're integrating meditation and breath work and lots of self-reflection automatically lends itself to a very deep and powerful and connected experience with ourselves and with each other. And then when you set it in a location that is just inherently sacred and beautiful, and the way the kindest people on earth, the most reverent people on earth, the way that Hinduism, I'm not a religious person and know very little actually about Hinduism, but the way that the people weave their religion into the day-to-day way of being there is just, it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed and been a part of. It's a very special place.
Yeah. Uh, and so we want to share it with you all. The way me and Scott choose retreat locations is we're just hanging out, and one of us will say, "You want to go to Bali?" Yeah,
That was
that's like
an easy yes for both of us.
it
Yeah.
was. It was. So I would love to spend the time that we have together going over some of the logistics for those of you already signed up and those of you who are thinking about it. Share a bit about the retreat center. Obviously, there's all the information on the site. I'm sure you've all seen it, all the beautiful pictures, but we want to just go over a bit of the logistics and everything that's going to be happening during the retreat, and then also leave some time for questions, because I'm sure some of you have some questions. Does that sound good? And we'll try not to take too much time. I know you're all busy, different time zones, doing your thing. So maybe we can start with just the beginning of just getting there and landing. I can't speak to the visas of every country, but if you're coming from the United States, I know that you can apply before you get there. It's like $30 or so for a 30-day visa. You can get a 60-day one. There's some options to stay a bit longer if you're planning on doing that. Um, if you're in a different country, you'll have to look up the deal yourself. But most places, it's very easy to get a visa when you get to Bali. You can even often get one when you land there, but I would look in advance. Please don't wait till the last minute to do that. When you land, I have some Balinese friends that are going to pick you up from the airport. I have a few of them, so I can't say which one it'll be that'll get you, but I have a couple teams of people, and they'll have your WhatsApp. So we'll have everyone download WhatsApp. They'll make sure they're in contact with you, and they'll know your flight numbers. So if you're late or anything, and they will pick you up right there. Usually from the airport to get to Bagus Jati, the retreat center, I would say it's about an hour and a half drive. It could be a bit longer if there's a lot of traffic. So it really depends on the time that you land. And that's if you're landing and going straight to the retreat center. Like me and Scott are coming some days early. It's a very long trip for those of us who are not coming from Australia. So if you want to come early, you can. We'll have them. We can arrange some pickup maybe in Ubud for you. Just contact us, let us know, and we'll help you figure out how to get there. If you're not just going straight from the airport to the retreat center, the retreat center itself is about 45 minutes north of Ubud in the jungle. And so getting there is easy. We'll make sure you don't have to worry about it or think about it. We'll also obviously bring you back to the airport if you're going back when you're done. Once you get to the retreat center, they welcome you really nicely with drinks and stuff. It's really sweet. And you'll have time to walk around. I won't go over the details of every single day, but you can arrive between 11 and 4 on the first day. There's some snacks and food at 1 p.m. We do dinner at 6:30, and we'll have our first opening session at about 8 p.m. And this gives everyone enough time to arrive. The food at this retreat center is phenomenal. I don't think anyone will be disappointed about that. The villas are gorgeous. Every single one is overlooking the jungle. There's a beautiful pool, hot tub, massages, exercise room, everything you could want. And the energy there is very, very special.
Yeah.
So we can also go, maybe we'll go over kind of the normal daily schedule, what me and Scott tend to do on retreats. There is a sample schedule on the page right now, but we'll probably move a few things around. So we'll go over the schedule, go over the excursions that we have. I think that's, and then a few other pieces. Do you want to jump in on schedule, or do you want me to do it, Scott?
Yeah, well, I'll say a couple of things. One thing
Sure.
I also want to say about Bali is, I mean, we haven't really emphasized is just how naturally beautiful it is. It is extraordinarily beautiful in terms of the nature, which also supports all the work that we're going to do.
Yeah.
And David and I really like with retreats to balance, the time we're going to be spending together in session, in class, in breath work, in meditation, with a good amount of downtime, so that each day you're not feeling like completely overwhelmed. I've been on retreats where it's like you're literally like, and at 8 o'clock you're doing this, and at 10 o'clock you're doing this, and they've been great in their own way, and for me, just like also exhausting. And so we really like to weave in to our experience time for you, especially in the afternoons, to just like get a massage if you want to, or take a swim in the pool, or just enjoy the nature around you. And another thing to know is that there are a few different excursions, and everything is optional. If you're not a hiker and one of the excursions is a hike, a sunrise hike to the top of this mountain, if that's not your jam, don't at all feel like that has to be something that you need to do, right? Like, check in with yourself and honor what you're a yes to, and know that it's totally okay not to do that. And there's going to be plenty of nothing for you to do if you so choose that at the retreat center, and that will serve you in a beautiful way. We're definitely going to nudge you, though, to show up for the classes, or at least I'm gonna. But even those, if you need a break from hearing my voice or David's voice, that's absolutely okay too, right? We're all adults, so we feel really good about the sessions that we're going to be offering and what they're going to provide, and then trust in you to, show up or not according to how you're feeling.
Yeah, that was an amazing preface to the actual schedule. Thank you for laying that out.
Sure.
Yeah, you do not have to go to anything that you don't want to go to, but we also don't want you to skip stuff if you're hitting your edge and you're about to break through something. So there is a fine line there, and me and Scott will try to gauge where you're really at, and help you along. And also, we're there the whole time. We're eating meals with you. We're going on these journeys. And so if you need, have a question for one of us in private, or you're struggling with something, just you come talk to us, and we'll do the best we can to help you out. That's part of the cool part of being on a retreat, is we get all this time together and we get to make amazing friends. Our previous retreat groups are all on WhatsApp threads, and we still talk and send birthday messages and all sorts of stuff. So you'll very likely make some very good friends on this journey.
Yeah,
So
that's really the highlight. I mean, for me, more than anything we're going to teach or share, let me say this, as much as anything we're going to teach and share, like, the great beauty of retreats like this is, by the end of a week together doing this kind of work, being open, holding space for one another, you really, you leave as though you're a family. It feels like the energy of family, and it is such a huge gift. I mean, for me and David, as much as anyone else, really feeling like these beautiful bonds were created, and we really got to show up as ourselves, be seen as ourselves, and hold space and see others and the vulnerability that people are willing to share and the honesty. It's just it's very special. Yeah.
Agreed. Um, so let me jump a little bit into the schedule. So when you wake up, there's always snacks and tea and coffee available. We'll have some kind of morning practice. The breakfast is outrageous. And so I think it was my favorite part of the retreat was the breakfast every day. Uh, Me and Scott will do a bigger class sometime in the mid early morning, like a 10 a.m. likely, but we're still massaging the schedule, so I don't want to give you exact times. We will have lunch 12, 1 o'clock, somewhere in there on a day we're not on an excursion. And if you want to skip a meal, you can, of course. Um, uh, there are 3 to 4 days where Scott's going to be doing breath work in the afternoon, and he could speak to this, but my layman's description is you lay on your back, breathe hard, cry, likely have some kind of breakthrough experience or a deep spiritual moment inside yourself. I'll let him speak to that in a moment. So we do a number of breath works, and then dinner is at about 6:30, and we usually have an evening session at 8 p.m. There are two different yoga shalas. One is a square room, one is round. They both are basically in the jungle, like touching the trees. And the staff there sets them up for us every morning and evening, candles and yoga mats and pillows. You don't need to bring your own yoga mat unless you're like in love with your yoga mat. You don't need to travel to Indonesia with a yoga mat. So everything is provided. It's really easy in that regard. And I there is a sense of guilt I feel when I'm there because the service is so good. Yeah, I'm like, stop, no, it's too much. And a place like this in America would be like 2, 3, 4 times the price. The quality of the space, the food, all of it is pretty special.
And there
Um,
will be morning yoga also for those of you who want to start the day really kind of getting into your body and with movement. That's going to be available each morning too for everybody.
yeah, and there so then there's excursions, and so obviously there won't be morning yoga if we're out hiking a mountain. So there's the hike up Mount Batur, which is a volcano. You climb to the top. I believe it's a volcano. Yeah, you climb to the top. There's usually monkeys up there, and you have the most amazing sunrise view. And to get a sunrise view, you got to leave before sunrise. The wake up time is about 2 a.m. It is about an hour and a half or so drive to get there. We have headlamps, guides. They hike us up. It's about an hour and a half hike up. I'm pretty sure you can Google it after, but that's how I remember it. Hang out up there as long as we want, and then make our way back down. Maybe the hike up was an hour and a half to two, something like that.
Not
Uh,
mandatory. Once again, if
Not
that's not
mandatory.
your
You don't.
thing, don't start panicking and sweating. You don't
You
have
could
to.
sleep in, and we'll meet you back around 9, 10, 11 a.m. whenever it is that we get back. Uh, the the other excursion we have is we go to this really special temple where we actually get into the water, and there's a spring, a natural spring that comes out, and we do blessings. They line up a whole bunch of springs, and you walk up to each one, and they bless a different part of your life. There's a guide with us to explain it all. That one's much softer. We leave pretty early in the morning for that one too, because we want to beat the crowds and the lines. The last 2 times I went, we got there first. So and we're using the same guide. So I would hope we would get there again and have this and the space not be crowded. That's also a very special excursion. And then we have a day in Ubud, again, optional. It's about 45-minute drive. If you want to spend the day in Ubud, go shopping, walk around, see some temples, eat at some of the restaurants there. We created space for that too. And so those are the three excursions that we have planned.
Yeah. And John, just hopping on to Ubud, I would really encourage you to do that, excursion, and also to consider as you're looking into the area, because we're going to be, at the retreat center, to focus on our retreat, but you're likely going to want to spend a little bit of time in Ubud, whether it's prior to the retreat or after the retreat or both. I would really strongly consider adding on some time if you have it to just get the experience of that town and the energy around it. It's really beautiful. It's really special.
Yeah, absolutely. And hotels, Airbnbs, there's a million places to stay, and it's January, so if you book it out, you book something now, you'll have a much better chance of getting a really nice place to stay. Um, so we have the Ubud excursion, the water temple, and Mount Batur. And I have a couple of guides on the ground I've used before that are wonderful. And if you're going before the retreat or you're wanting to stay after and you want someone to pick you up at the airport, you want somebody to set up excursions for you, whatever it is, hold your hand while you're there. I will give you their information. They'll call you on WhatsApp. They can help you do anything you want to do before or after the retreat, because it's super intimidating to go to a place like that. You don't know where the heck to go. So I've got you covered. If you're coming on the retreat and you want their information and their help, we will set you up, and they will take really great care of you. Cool. Okay. So, I also want to mention on the schedule, we have a dinner party set up for the last night. I've done it before. It's really cool. The food's amazing. We do it on site at the retreat center. Maybe dress up a little bit if you want to bring something nice to wear for the dinner party. Okay. I'm just looking at my notes. Oh, everybody who goes on the retreat gets a massage that's included at the retreat center. There's a hot tub. It's facing the jungle. It's got a cover on it, but it's open, unless they changed something since the last time I went. And they serve you tea while you're in there. It's amazing, and you can go have a massage and come back, and it's pretty special. So everyone will get a massage. We'll make sure there's time for everyone to book one. You might want more than one. I'm just having a memory of ordering cookies into my room using room service like 10 different times. It was really good cookies. I just kept ordering them to the room. I just remembered that I was a little cookie monster the last time I was in Bali. Um, all right. In terms of the accommodations, obviously there's different room types, but they are all amazing. Whether you get some superior villa, or I can't even keep all the names of them straight, but there's pictures on the site. Every single room is beautiful, and they all seem to have some kind of view of the jungle. So if you have more detailed questions about the room, send them to us and we'll get you some answers. I don't know every room and every room type and the dimensions or anything like that, but you can tell from the pictures. And if any, let me just go over a few more things. Allergy restrictions, they can accommodate most stuff. They're very, very accommodating in the kitchen there. So you just let us know in advance if you're gluten intolerant, no dairy, whatever it is, no meat, it's fine. They will make you food and get around that. So unless it's something pretty, if you can't eat anything but air, that might be hard. Uh,
Or easy because there's everywhere.
there we go. Air's everywhere. That's easy. Um, I'm looking at, do I need to buy travel insurance? I wanted to mention that too. You don't need travel insurance, but it's not a terrible idea. I think it's actually a good idea to get travel insurance. It's cheap. And there are a couple of companies I like to use, and we'll send this all out to you if you sign up, but I like World Nomads and World Trips are the two, and we'll send you the links to all of that. Jonah is here. She's one of our administrators. Any question you have too, you can just email us and she'll make sure to get back to you as soon as possible. And she's similar to that time zone. So she can call the retreat center for you and talk to them. Okay, in terms of things to bring, the weather is pretty warm. Maybe you want a light jacket, you definitely want some swimwear, loose yoga clothing. We'll be doing movement, we'll be meditating. So you want to be really comfortable. It's nothing special. Wear whatever you want. And there's plenty of clothes to buy in Bali too, if you decide you want to go on a shopping trip to Ubud. That's everything that's coming to mind for me right now. Scott, is there anything else you want to mention on the logistical side of the retreat center or anything like that?
Maybe more just about the feeling
Sure.
of this retreat for those of you who may not have been on a retreat like this. I spoke a little bit about the energy of family that gets created, and it's the sense that we have with one another throughout the day is it's real community coming together, and there's real like when we gather with one another, it's always in a circle. There's typically a good amount of sharing. And if you're somebody that's tends to be a bit more reserved or maybe nervous by the idea of being gathered in community with other people, I want to really assure you of a couple things. One, that you're not going to be forced to share anything or say anything that you don't feel compelled to say. And perhaps as importantly, I feel entirely confident that even if you're the most introverted, reserved person on the planet, that in this environment, you're going to find yourself opening up in a way that is going to feel so good. It is so freeing. And there is a way in which inhibitions and walls really do come down in this type of community. And I think one of the things that David and I are really good at is creating a space that feels really safe and really open and really fun and really light, while we're doing deep work, right? Because ultimately we're coming together not just to go to this beautiful place called Bali, but to actually do some deep work, to actually do the work of self-reflection and connect with ourselves and our lives in a way that allows us to show up in the world with a bit more peace, a bit more compassion, a bit more groundedness, and a bit more love for ourselves and other people. So, my experience in our past two retreats was watching one person to the next flowering, like opening up, like just watching walls fall down in such a deep and beautiful way. And that's in part why the feeling at the end is so familial, because you've gotten to see people become more themselves and allow themselves to sink into what feels more authentic and more true. And when that is happening, there's really no saying, what type of connections and experiences that we can have together. So I just wanted to speak to that for those of you who are like, how is this going to feel? What's it going to look like? It's going to look like us gathered in a circle a lot. And whether it's David guiding us through meditation, or us kind of facilitating interpersonal exercises, or me handing out a couple writing prompts that take you in deeper for self-reflection, or all of you laid out on your backs doing breath work that is going to blow your mind. How many of you, by show of hands, have ever done transformational breath work of any kind? Okay, just a handful ish. Okay. It is it is one of the most powerful tools I have found for moving stuck energy, for really, really tapping in and opening you up. And it complements the work that we're doing together so beautifully, because we're doing this deep work, we're opening, we're working, and then we go into a breathwork session and we can release and let it go and clear ourselves. And so it's such a beautiful complement to what we're doing. And if you haven't experienced it, just wait till you do. It's hard to describe until you've done it, but it's wonderful.
Yeah. And on the meditation side, if you haven't listened to any of my meditations before, um, you can go on YouTube or Insight Timer and listen and see if, obviously, if it's a vibe, a good fit for you. But usually on a retreat, we'll be doing a lot of inner inquiry, peeling back some layers, finding our own answers, doing some self-healing, visualizing, seeing our next steps. And the arc of each retreat is different, but it tends to start with some inner inquiry and healing. And towards the end of the retreat, the arc usually turns into, what is it that I want to create and step into next? What's the energy I want to leave the retreat in and bring into the rest of my life? Is it more focus, creativity, compassion, mindfulness, a sense of ease? Do I want to come back home with less anxiety and be really well rested? So there is a natural arc that we all experience on the journey of a retreat. And then there's also the one that Scott and I, set as teachers in the curriculum that we want you to experience to a certain extent. And so we do want to push your edge, but we also want to make sure that you're having a really good time and comfortable. And that's our job, to find that balance, and also the balance of doing and resting, playing, having time for yourselves to make friends with each other and just enjoy this sacred space. So every retreat I've done with Scott has been so much fun, which is why we're doing more. And I
Totally.
only teach 2 retreats a year, maybe 3. and so it's a blast for me too. It's such a good time for us as teachers. We're laughing our asses off, eating,
Yeah.
playing with you, and so we're really excited to share this experience. This is a big one. Last year, Nepal and Bhutan, I did those. That was big, and this year, Bali, and we know the travel can be a lot, but if you can make the journey and let yourself relax there, it's very much worth it in my experience. So
Yeah.
uh,
And on that note, on the travel note, I would recommend, if you are able, again, all of this is contingent on your schedules, to try to get there a couple days early to Bali so you have a bit of time to acclimate to the time zone change. If it's a dramatic one like it's going to be for us coming from the US, that's going to be helpful for you, if you're able. And if not, you'll be all right. But try to do that. Give yourself the benefit of a couple extra days to get yourself acclimated to
yeah,
the new time zone.
definitely. Obviously, unless you're in Asia, Australia, then it's quite a bit easier.
Yeah.
Um,
Should
so
we take
anything else,
questions?
Scott, before we do exactly what I was going to
Yeah.
say. Let's open it up. Any questions, you can write them in. I would prefer to hear them verbally. If you're here, let us, just share. Anybody have a question, burning question? I will let you all unmute. If you're not, by the way, there's like another 35 people signed up for this call that are going to watch on the recording. So I just want to say hello to all of you who
Yeah,
couldn't
truly.
physically be here. And if you have a question, email us, message us, support@meditationschool.us, or that's fine. I won't give you a second. Just email us at support@meditationschool.us, and we can answer any questions that you have. Raise, hey, Luana.
Hi,
Hi.
David. Hi, Scott.
Hi.
Uh, Sorry if I missed this. I joined a bit late. In terms of the logistics from airport to the retreat.
Yeah, we have someone picking you up. So I have some amazing guys that I've worked with before, Neomon and D, and they have teams of people, and their English is fantastic, and they're going to get you on WhatsApp. Every retreat we do, we put the group on WhatsApp before the retreat starts, maybe a day or a couple of days before, and so we could all message, "Hey, my flight's delayed. I'm stuck. Where do I go? I'm freaking out energetically." So we'll all be on a thread. Our administrator is going to be on the thread. We'll make sure our Balinese guides are on the thread to guide you, and they'll have your individual numbers, flight itineraries, all of that's taken care of. They will be there with a sign at the airport to pick you up. Or if you're already in town, then we'll figure out something else. Probably be some kind of ride we can figure out for you from Ubud. Thanks. Great question. And we will drop you back off at the airport if you
Yeah.
either Ubud or at the airport.
If you want to leave Bali, which you may not.
You may never want to leave.
Yeah, exactly. Who else has a question? Anyone? What's coming up for you?
So at the facility where the retreat will be held, is it possible to stay at the facility longer
Yes.
afterward?
Yes, you can book nights there. I would do that in advance.
Okay.
I don't know the price off the top of my head, but you could definitely stay there a bit longer if you want to. The only thing about staying there longer is it's a retreat center. You're in the jungle. So if you want to experience other things, I would recommend staying in Ubud, for example, where you can just have more of a, exploratory journey. But if you just want more days of rest, if you didn't get enough in that time span, you want more, go for it. But there are so many places on the island that you can also hang out at the beach, go to the Gili Islands. There's so many places to explore. So, but yeah, you could definitely book the retreat center too.
Okay. And how do I do that? Is
We
there
can send you the link. Yeah,
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
absolutely. Jonah, could you maybe send, is it Veda?
Vita.
Vita, sorry. Can you send Vita the link to the retreat center?
Thank you.
Jonah.
Yep,
Yeah.
doing that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other questions? Did we do such a good job of answering all your questions?
You know what I would appreciate is you mentioned Abood, but if you could send us maybe 5 or 6 ideas of where to stay, because we're coming before and after. And I just realized I booked the same exact block on 2 different hotels. So that doesn't make any sense. But it's also pretty far away. But it'd be cool if you could recommend a couple cities, maybe.
Sure. And I'll put you in touch with, if you want, one of the guides there, and you can go back and forth with
Yeah.
them for a while, and they'll pick you up and all of that. You're not going to drive your own car around Bali.
Okay.
You can drive a motor scooter, which when I'm in Ubud, I'm always driving my own motor scooter around. But if it's not something you're comfortable with or you've done before, then you're going to want a taxi driver. You're going to want somebody to drive you around, and I've got someone. We'll find you somebody that can do that. You know.
Do you know if Uber exists there?
I don't think so, but maybe it does now. I haven't been there since right before COVID, so it's possible. The likely is just going to be getting a driver that's going to be like your best friend, and he's going to be around. She's going to be around to drive you all the time and be your point person. That's usually how it works in Bali. You find one person, they got your back, you fall in love, and they make sure you have a great trip. It's just how Bali tends to go. Yeah. But we'll send you some ideas. Yeah. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Yeah. Luana, another question?
Yes, logistics questions. But which airports are we flying in?
Denpasar is the main city. Yeah. And the actual code of the airport is
DPS.
DPS.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an important question. I taught a retreat once in Costa Rica, and one of the guys flew to San Jose. Oh, it says my camera's getting hot and I'm just going to turn off. One of the guys flew into Costa Rica, San Jose, California, instead of San Jose, Costa Rica.
Oh no.
That's on him.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's on him. I don't know why my camera turned off. It said it overheated. That's so weird. I haven't used it at all. But I'm here.
Okay.
I get my other one on in a moment. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
For those of us, for those of us who are sharing a room, do we find out who our roommate is, or how does that all work?
Yeah, we could definitely let you know who your roommate is, but we might not know until, a few weeks out. So, but if you want to know in advance, you
Oh, I'm
can.
just curious how you work out who stays with who, or it's just random.
We kind of do it random because we don't know everyone unless you have a specific request.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's divinely inspired.
Get my webcam going here in a second. Yeah. So thank you for that. Any other questions?
My question is similar to Brad's. I know I can't come early, but I want to stay a few days, and I know I want to surf, but I have no idea like where to do that. So if you have a guide or someone who has a suggestion, just like a day or two would probably, and nothing crazy, like no pipeline surfing over here.
There are so many good surf spots there. So like Uluwatu, for example. So yeah, for sure we could help you with that.
But I would do a Google search, because for me, when I'm exploring new places, one part might be getting recommendations, but I don't think, I also want you to explore what you might intuitively tune into as a location that feels good to you, so.
I asked because I can't say how many times I did that, and then I told someone like you guys, and you're like, "Ooh, yeah."
We'll come at it from both angles then.
Okay. I'm up for that. I mean, I looked at TripAdvisor and I've talked to friends, and I still hadn't heard of Ubud, and now you were so excited about it. I'm staying there. So that's what made me ask the question, was there might be another spot that's near that, but that prompted my question, to be honest.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
I have heard the surfing is insane, so I would be careful and pick the right spot, because I heard it's like the big waves, so
I want to pick a place that's just like really hard to get to, and something like that. But of course, I am a Google searcher, but it's always good to ask a local.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. The island isn't that big, but around Denpasar, the traffic can be heavy. until you get out of the city. Sometimes crossing through there the wrong time of day. Sometimes there could be traffic, but the island itself is not that huge. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions? Cool. All right.
If there's no questions, I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
So I went on this last year to Bhutan supporting Patricia, who's, an expert in meditation, and I didn't know anything about it. I'm a type A person and I didn't know what I was getting into. And it's quite frankly was one of the best experiences ever. I got into meditation. I've since continued to practice. We made lifelong friends. We say happy birthday on WhatsApp. Everything David said I can validate unsolicited is really true. The food in Bhutan was horrible, so that was the thing that was not fun. But it's just everything that you thought would happen. It all happened and more. So I just am vouching for, if anyone's on the fence anyway, it was well worth it, and we're going to hopefully go every year because it was so much fun and so rewarding. Even gives us new things to talk about because I didn't understand all the stuff that Patricia was doing. So just wanted to throw that out.
And I remember telling you the food in Bhutan wasn't going to be that good before we went. But the food in
I
Bali
lost 10
is,
pounds, so
Yeah, last week.
this will be different. I know.
yeah. The food in Bali is really good.
And thank you for sharing that, Brad, about your experience.
you.
Truly, really appreciate that.
And I will say in Bhutan, the government decides what you eat, not David.
Yeah.
Right? That's true.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was very
Yes.
controlled in that
Yes.
regard. And in Bali, you're much, much more free. There's no one doing any of that. In Bhutan, there's a schedule and the government kind of writes out the schedule and the tour guide takes you on it. And there's just not a lot of flexibility. And I've been there before, but it's kind of like surprising, like, whoa, wow, you guys are really got your
But you
thing
did a
going.
great job of altering the schedule as people asked for it. So
Yeah. I think we ambushed our tour guide once and forced him to.
Yes.
That's good. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Anything else before we go, Scott? Anything else you want to share?
I'm really excited. I'm happy you all are tuning in. I'm happy to meet several of you who are joining us, and for those of you who are considering it, it's going to be a beautiful time. I cannot wait, and it's going to be here so quickly. I can't wait to be back in Bali personally with y'all.
Yeah,
so.
Me too. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll send out the recording if you want to share it with anybody, anything like that. Any questions, email us, let us know, and hopefully we will see some of you in Bali.